Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Napoleon Total, and today we are once again back with something different. Today we are back with another enlisted battle. This battle was actually done once again by the members of the enlisted Milsim community. And for those who don't know what Milsim is, it is a military simulation that is had to feel as realistic as possible. These guys are really amazing and dedicated to what they do, and it has been my honor working with them during these past few days. Last time we already done one of their battles with the German winter assault at the Bulge. Of course, if you haven't watched that video, I highly suggest that you do, since that video is really fun and really epic. That said, today's we have somewhat of a continuation of the Battle of the Bulge, with the Germans once again attacking and the Americans defending. Of course, this video has been completely made possible by the members and players of the enlisted Milsim community, with special thanks to Taunt for providing me information and the replay itself. Of course, this video has also been possible through the friends at the Napoleon Total Discord, meaning if you haven't liked, subscribed or joined the Discord, I highly suggest that you do. But that said, let's get started with today's battle. For today's battle we have another winter assault on an American stronghold, with the American and British forces defending the town and the surrounding points. Like with the last battle, the Germans will have to have the goal of attacking the place. For those who have watched my first video, this will sound extremely familiar. However, if you haven't, the enlisted military simulator is in lone fighters mode, meaning that every person that you see is an actual player. That said, the issue is that the total number of players in total is roughly about a squad on each side. However, the map itself is heavily edited, with the ability to deploy different weapons, vehicles, and even go to different locations. Speaking about the different locations, let's move on to the map, which has multiple points. Some of the most critical points during the entire battle include the downed C-47 transport in the forest, which is named E Point, which is the exact same point as last time. However, unlike with the last game where the A, B, C, and D point were the most important, this time we have the F point that is the most important, since I've been told that the F point is actually supposed to simulate Bastogne itself. The F point is essentially a smaller version of the two, but bigger than the D point. The settlement has mostly wooden buildings, with no major defenses in the buildings, but the perimeter has a trench. That said, let's get started with the battle. Like with the last battle, this battle begins at the E point, the downed C-47 transport. Once again, like with the last battle, the Germans made the first move, with them attacking the E point. However, unlike the last battle, the Americans have it uncontested. As a matter of fact, when the Germans were marching into the E point, they found no one. Although the Germans were very careful with their assault, they found out that the site it was dead silent. During this entire time, the Americans were sitting back in the woods. Seeing that the Allies weren't attacking, the Germans decided fortify the E point. Although the E point was out in the open, the forest around the point allowed the Germans to build defenses. This included an MG-131 and even a tank. It was after 30 minutes when the Allies decided to attack. However, instead of a full frontal attack with their troops, the enemy attacks were staggered, with the Germans being easily able to push them back with heavy casualties. The arrival of Allied tanks did some help the situation, but it was no match for the heavy entrenched Germans, who not only destroyed the advancing enemy tanks, but even managed to push them out of the forest. After that, everyone's attention shifted to the F point, Bastogne itself. Both sides roughly arrived at the same time, and instantly the battle began. Although the battle itself was mainly hide and seek, with whoever finds their opponent first being the victor. The melee itself was characterized by massive fighting in and around the buildings. Both sides were using the buildings to their advantage. One group of British soldiers were even in an attic, which gave the Germans a very nasty surprise. On the other hand, a group of German soldiers also used building to either advantage by attacking from a build's blind spot and thus able to surprise the British. After a tense melee, it was the Allies that were pushed back. However, after heavy fighting, the Germans took the town. This was immediately followed by massive Allied infantry attack supported with anti-tank guns and tanks. However, despite their heavy weapons, the Germans were able to inflict heavy casualties on the Allies. This was due to the fact they changed their location and they stay away from open areas. This way the Allies had a much harder time fighting the Germans. It was during this time that the battles of the surrounding took place. At first there were only a few skirmishes, with both sides only deploying a few riflemen. It was only after the Germans started to deploy tanks on a hill did the Americans deploy more troops. With both sides fighting a cat-and-mouse game on the slopes of the hill. In one instance a German Tiger II was deployed on that hill, however the crew somehow lost the tank and it fell into the hands of the Americans who used it to great effect. Eventually it was taken out by the Germans. But it is this confusing and insane battle that was unfolding on the hill overlooking the battle itself. Eventually, after a stalemate within the town itself, the Americans called in a Calliope aircraft and even more anti-tank guns to blast open every room. This was done with the infantry telling where to fire the ordnances, then having the artillery and air power unload all of their explosives onto the selected location, with the infantry following their assault. After a while the Germans, which by this point like the Americans were exhausted, were finally defeated. With most of their unit killed or routed from the battle. Although this battle was slightly bigger than the first one, this was a very small battle. This battle did show us the devastating effect of team coordination and fire support. That said, what do you think about this video? What do you think about enlisted milsims? If you like these types of videos, I'll do more of these milsims. That said, this is all it for the video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.